The laughter inside the ballroom was the kind that never reached the heart. It rang sharp and hollow, bouncing off marble walls and golden chandeliers, echoing wealth and arrogance in equal measure. It was the annual City of Gold Gala, where powerful men raised glasses to themselves and called it charity. Waiters moved like shadows in crisp uniforms, balancing trays heavier than their dreams. Among them was Alina, a young immigrant woman with gentle eyes and steady hands. Her accent had cost her jobs before, so she had learned to keep her words few and careful. At the center of the room sat Edward Kane, a man whose name opened doors and closed hearts. Everything about him spoke of money, his tailored suit, his diamond watch, his tone that demanded attention. He was seated beside Prince Khalid al-Masri, a reserved investor from the Middle East, known for his calm voice and quiet wisdom. When Alina approached their table to refill glasses, Edward noticed the small basket of roses tied to her tray. They were extras from the decoration team, red and white, slightly wilted but still beautiful. Edward smirked. "Hey, flower girl," he said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "How much for one of those roses?" Alina hesitated. "They're not for sale, sir. They're just—" He interrupted, grinning. "Then let's make it fun. Sell me those roses in Arabic, and I'll pay you $50,000. Laughter spread like fire. Heads turned. The waiters stopped moving. Prince Khalid's smile faded. "Mr. Kane," he said quietly. "That's not—" Edward raised a hand. "Relax, Your Highness. It's a joke." But to Alina it wasn't a joke. It was a wound disguised as humor. Her fingers tightened around the basket. She could have walked away. She could have swallowed the humiliation and kept her job. But something inside her, something that had survived war, hunger, and loss, refused to shrink. She set the tray down, lifted her chin, and looked him in the eye. Her voice, though soft, carried through the entire hall. "Fi kul zara, yaskin kalbin la yamt." The room fell still. The prince blinked in surprise. Edward frowned. "What does that mean?" Alina took a breath. "It means, in every flower, there lives a heart that refuses to die." The silence that followed was deep enough to hear the chandeliers hum. Prince Khalid stood, placing a hand over his chest, a gesture of respect. "Your words," he said, "belong to poets." Edward didn't move. His grin had vanished. For the first time that night, he looked unsure of himself. Alina gave a small nod, placed a single rose in front of him, and walked away with quiet grace. No one laughed this time. That moment, just a few seconds caught on a guest's phone, would later circle the internet under the title, "Waitress Silences Billionaire with One Line." But Alina didn't see it go viral. She worked double shifts, sent money home, and kept studying English at night. She didn't care about fame. She just wanted peace. Still, something inside her had changed. The world had finally seen her dignity, not her accent. Meanwhile, Edward couldn't escape that moment. The image of her calm face haunted him more than any headline ever could. For the first time, he saw himself the way others did, loud, careless, and empty. He stopped attending parties. He stayed away from cameras. And late at night, he found himself replaying her words. "In every flower, there lives a heart that refuses to die." One rainy afternoon months later, Edward stepped out of his car in front of a modest brick building with a hand-painted sign, "The Rose House." Inside, women sat around old wooden desks, learning English from a chalkboard full of hopeful words. And there she was, Alina, standing at the front of the class, guiding a young mother through the alphabet. When she noticed him, her eyes widened in surprise. "Mr. Kane." He smiled faintly, awkwardly. "I came to see what you built," he said. Alina hesitated, unsure what to say. "I read about you," he continued. "You started this place?" She nodded. "Prince Khalid helped me get started. But the idea came from that night. I wanted women like me to find their voices again." Edward looked around the small room. The books, the laughter, the soft scent of roses on the windowsill. He took a deep breath. "I didn't come to talk about that night," he said quietly. "I came to say I'm sorry." Alina studied his face for a moment, then smiled gently. Thank you, but I forgave you long ago. You just didn't know it. He nodded, his throat tight. Is there a way I can help? Not with money, he added quickly. Something real. Alina tilted her head. Can you make tea? Edward chuckled, surprised. I can try. The women laughed softly as he followed her to the kitchen. That afternoon, the man who once mocked a waitress stood pouring tea for refugees. Quietly, humbly, without cameras or pride. Years passed. The Rose House grew into a chain of small learning centers across several cities, each one named after a different flower. Jasmine House, Lily House, Rose House. Alina became known for her compassion and strength, though she still insisted she was just a girl who once sold flowers. At one charity event held in her honor, she found Edward again. Older now, gentler in his eyes. I wanted you to know, he said. I've started something new. We're building affordable homes for displaced families. Your story reminded me what success should mean. Alina smiled softly. Then maybe the roses did what they were meant to do, she said. As the night ended, the camera panned across the hall, now filled not with arrogance, but with laughter and hope. Roses decorated every table. The women from the Rose House shared stories in their new languages, their voices light and full of life. And in the center stood Alina, once mocked, now admired, holding a single rose close to her heart. Her voice, calm and warm, carried over the applause. We rise, not because others lift us, but because we refuse to stay buried. The screen slowly faded to soft piano music. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to TalesbyNanya. Your small act of kindness helps us share more true and inspiring stories. Stories that remind the world to listen before judging. And as the final image fades, we see Alina walking through a garden full of roses. Red, white, and gold, whispering to the wind. Every kindness plants a seed, and every seed deserves to bloom.